everybody, I'm Anna.
And I'm Isha.
And we're the two mythical unicorns. And today we're talking about books that had an impact on us. Were important.
Yes.
So yeah, and in this video we will be talking about the ages 10 to 15.
Yes.
So these were the books that were important to us at that time.
And I had difficulty trying to order these by like what I read first.
Yeah, same.
I'm not sure, I'm gonna be honest. But I am gonna start with Pal Nilsson. Hjärtans frid. What's funny about this is that this is the sequel. The return of Hjärtans frid. But I'm fairly certain what has happened here is that I read the first one in school.
Same.
And bought the sequel.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain I read this in 7th grade. Possibly. In Swedish class, I guess is the translation.
Yeah.
This was one of the first times that I enjoyed a book in school that we were assigned to read. Because most of the time, at least in our school, it was like from the 70s and very uninteresting. I couldn't tell you much of the story. I remember that it's a boy that is the protagonist.
Yeah, he's the main character.
And it's essentially his first time and experience with falling in love with someone. And it's very authentic. Like, it's not like flowery, like...
No, it's not pretty. And
No. But it's beautiful in that it's so authentic.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good. And that's why schools make people read them, probably. Because it's really like close to how teenagers, how that happens the first couple of times at least. So yeah, it's one of these, it really just sticks out in my mind. That's why it's here.
The first one I'm gonna go with is this one. A Faraway Island.
Yeah.
It's the English title.
Mm.
And it's about two Jewish girls that come to Sweden during the Second World War.
Yeah.
And it's the story about them and how they survive and adapt.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I think I read it in 5th or 6th grade.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Is that just the first one or is that all of them?
That's all of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was like, Jesus, because there's like 4 books are in there.
Yeah. It's a big book.
I don't remember them being this big.
Yeah, no, I have the entire collection in one.
Right. Next up is Narnia. This is the first one, which is not The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. It's The Magician's Nephew or Niece. Ooh. In English.
Aww.
To Michelle from Christmas 2005. So I probably read this before I read the one that I mentioned earlier. But I loved these. What's funny is because I remember showing this to my mom and I was like, do you remember buying me this? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, did you even know what they were about? And she was like, no. So she had no idea what Narnia was when she bought this for me, which is very typical of my mother. But yeah, I adored these books. And then realizing what they were based on much later was kind of funny, but yeah.
I've not read them.
You've seen the...
I've seen the
old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that with Lina.
Yeah,
yeah.
I borrowed it from her.
She loved those.
Yeah.
That was a mutual friend from when we were kids. That's funny.
Before we got to know each other.
Yes.
She was the matchmaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done, you.
Yeah. So next on my is Wolf Brothers. And this is actually, these ones inspired me to write fan fiction for the first time.
Oh, cute.
Did not get very far. But, you know, it was a first step. I've written fan fiction twice, I think. And this was the first one. It's about a boy who lives in a tribe and then there's a wolf that he connects to magically and stuff happens. I love them.
The next one is an author. Just general. Laura Tremper. In particular, I actually realized, I said in a previous video that it was a duology, but it was actually a trilogy. So there was Fotografiet, Testamentet och Dagboken. So the photograph, the testament, and the diary.
Yeah.
And I think the diary came out later, like, I'm not sure I read that one, which is why I think of it as a duology, probably.
Yeah.
And then there was the Puma, in particular, that I also really...
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. I remember that was one of the first one that I was like, it's coming out! I can remember being like, outside of Harry Potter, I can remember being like, she has a new book!
Yeah.
And like queuing for it at the library and things. So I adored her books. I don't know how many times I reread those books.
So next up I have this one, and in English it's called A Wizard of Earthsea. And it's a trilogy, and it's one that my mom read to me and my brother, and it scared the living shit out of me. I had nightmares for months. Like, until we finished the last one. Like, the ending made me feel better.
Salvaged it.
But this was, I don't know, it was something about the darkness that just spread out and devoured everything, and they didn't know how to stop it. Yeah. So I felt like this had to make the list. Because I still think about this and how much it freaked me out. But I couldn't stop, like, because my mom asked, do you want us to read something else? Do you want us to stop? And I was like, no, Mom,
I need to know the ending.
I need to know the ending, otherwise the fair will never end.
Yeah, that's an experience.
Yep.
And a half. Okay, let's go Eldens hemlighet. The Secrets of the Fire?
Yeah.
I guess. These have not been translated. These are by Henning Mankell, who is a author from the little town that we're from, actually. And yeah, I remember because my cousin was reading them, and we were there at that party. And she was like, this is really good. And I was like, right. And then I talked to no one the rest of the evening.
It was a great party.
It was very good. I read most of that book that night. And I was like, I am borrowing this. She was like, fine. These were books that was based on a true story of a girl who lived in Mozambique in maybe in the 90s, I think it was. And they were just heartbreaking in so many different ways, but they were so good. And I think, as I understood it, the author exchanged letters with this girl and then wrote a story about it. So it's probably fictionalized too, but it's based on her true story. And yeah, they were very good. Very tragic though.
So for my next one, I have Piratica. And it's about a girl, she's 16 in the first book, I think she's 17 in the second book. And she's alone, an orphan, and ends up on the sea as a pirate. If the name didn't leave any clues. This was the first time I thought about gender roles.
Oh, right.
Yeah. This was the first time I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I'm not allowed to do that because I'm a,
Yeah, and they treated her a certain way. And then it ends, I think she's 17. I'm not sure when the second book ends. And she's pregnant, and that's a good thing. Because she has a boyfriend, and I was like, oh, wait, what?
Excuse me?
That really made an impact. I don't remember much of the story, like beyond her fighting and the pirates and stuff, and then ending with she's pregnant and they're gonna start a family, and she's 17.
She's happy about it.
I mean, like, it's
Yeah.
takes place in like the Middle Ages sort of kind of world, so
It's kind of normal.
back then it wasn't that weird, but when you're writing a book modern day for young girls and she ends up pregnant at 17, I was like, no.
You think you...
But I loved the books
Yeah,
until I hit that part.
Let's go more tragedy. Kortkjol. Kristina Wallén. Short skirt. is the translation. This is a book recounting a rape and the repercussions of all that and what a young girl goes through in a small town where everyone talks crap about everyone. It is kind of, this was another one that we were made to read in school. I wouldn't necessarily say that I was like, yay, this is the greatest book ever. But it's one of these books, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Because it's so well written, and like it is the book to read to sort of understand what that does to a human being. So it's one of these, like, I understand why schools are making kids read them, because it is something that it stayed with me since, and I was 13, 14 when I read it.
Yeah.
So.
And because I haven't read it, because we didn't read it in my school. And I've never heard anyone talk about it really, except the friends that we have that went to the same school as you.
Yeah.
And I really do think, like, from hearing you talk about it and the others, because it's stuck with the others as well, that aren't really readers.
Yeah.
But the story stuck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that would be a good book for, like, all schools too.
Probably. Yeah, it was terrifying and sad, but very, very good.
Next up, I have this one, and in English it's called Ravensgate. It's by Anthony Horowitz, and this was really exciting. And I think there are 5 books. I have read 3 of them. And this was the book that made me realize that Swedish sucks. Not the language in particular, but I never got the last 2 ones. Because it took, I don't know if they have been translated at all. And if they got translated, they never made their way to the bookshop that I was shopping at.
Oh no!
So I never got the ending.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, I still don't know how it all ends. Yeah, and that is when I realized
This sucks.
that not all books are in Swedish that we buy in Sweden, that there are translations, and that you have to wait a really long time to get the translation.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I loved these ones. They were so exciting. And now that I see it, maybe I should try to get the last 2 ones. Find out what happened.
Let's go. Another one that I read in school. I seem to have a good curriculum. Sander/Ida. This is by Sara Kandefors. Kandefors? Don't know. This was a novel about 2 kids. I think they were teenagers actually, not kids.
Yeah.
They were teenagers. One in Gothenburg and one in Stockholm. The girl is in Stockholm and the boy is in Gothenburg. And they started talking online. This is the first book I remember, like, oh my god, an online relationship. And it wasn't, I don't actually know if it was like a relationship necessarily.
It was more of a friendship.
Because it's 2, essentially they're both kind of lonely.
Yeah.
They do have friends and things, it's just like they don't connect as well with the people around them as they do each other.
Yeah.
And then Sander decides to surprise her.
Yeah.
And things doesn't go as he has thought it was gonna go. It's not some catfishing thing, it's not that. It's just...
She's really popular and he's not.
Yeah.
And look, the stereotypical types of popular and not popular.
Yeah. It was a very good book to read with a class and be like, yeah, talk about these different stereotypes and these different groups and all that stuff.
So next up I have The Shamer's Daughter by Lene Kaaberbøl. She's Danish.
Yeah.
That does not mean I can pronounce it.
Nope.
No. It's about a girl that has gotten her mother's gift, that when they look into people's eyes, they like they get shamed.
Oh.
Or something like that. They kind of judge them by magic, don't really remember. I remember loving the books.
Ah, that's cool.
I remember this was the first time that I thought about the way the world was shown in the book
Right.
and how they had built that up. So it was a really, really good book. And yeah, it stuck with me a long time.
I think this one should be first. Oh, maybe that one actually. Oh, that's much younger. Oh, never mind. This is so
We're
not in the
doing
order.
the best we can. Okay, it's hard to remember what we read when.
Lina's first book. Lina's evening book? This is the thing. Essentially, it's a diary, but she
Yeah.
didn't want to call it a diary because
Yeah.
that was not cool. I think, yeah, okay, so she's 15 when it starts out, and this is a volume, so it's 2 books in one. It's a terrible movie cover. I borrowed this from the library bus the first time I read it. I remember that very clearly. This, as I've understood it, this is actually loosely based on the author's own experience.
Okay.
And it sort of follows through her first 3 boyfriends.
Is it that many?
Yeah.
I've just seen the movie.
Right. But I think it's only the first book.
Okay.
So it's not both, I think. Because if you don't know all 3 of them,
Yeah, I do.
then no. And this is also kind of like, it's such like a insecure teenager thing, and she falls in love with a younger boy in the first one. He's a year younger or something like that, which was like such a big deal
Yeah.
because he wasn't cool. And the second one, what I will give this is that in the second one she meets, this is such a spoiler, I'm so sorry. She meets, so the next guy she meets, it's called Kevin. And he smokes hash and things. And fights and, like, he has a lot of bad habits, let's say. And in the beginning she sort of accepts, and she's like, oh, he's like this, I should accept that. And she's like in love with him, so it's like, however, there is a point where she's like, no, you've passed my boundaries, and if you want to, like, and she's like 16 or something, so it's pretty, like, she stands up for herself, and she goes, no, this is not something that I'll accept, and if you don't improve yourself as a human, we will not be a couple. And he does actually accept that, and it doesn't actually end with them being together. It ends with him being like, okay, so I'm gonna study over the summer, and we're gonna be at the same school in the fall, and if he continues on this trajectory, they could get back together. But she, like, she puts her foot down and she goes, no, this is not cool. And I was impressed with that, because it was sort of like, I was like, whoa, she's 16.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, good for you.
And I have Moon Daughters. Daughters of the Moon, not Moon Daughters. Daughters of the Moon. And this is the first one. It's a series. And it's fantasy. They are goddesses. And that was kind of cool to know that the girls were saving the world for once. They were quite easy to read. I don't know if I read them too late. But you know, it takes time for them to be translated.
Yeah.
So I think I was about the right age when I read maybe the first 2, and then I was a bit too old when I got to the last ones. But yeah, I really enjoyed the part where it's the women. I think it's 4 in the beginning. And they're just teenage girls who happen to be goddesses, and they're supposed to fight this evil demon creature.
Of course.
Yeah. So really enjoyed these. And they are also like acting like teenagers, so they were sort of relatable at the same time.
Nice. Fairly certain. Yeah. My mom is adorable. It says Michelle 2007 on this. And back then I was pretty good with actually reading books when I got them. This is the first thriller that I remember reading. I mean, it is for kids. Like, it's a thriller for young people, essentially. And yeah, they were captive under Earth. I remember being like, how are they gonna get out of this? And it's like, it's a cast of characters, like, they don't necessarily like each other, they're not particularly nice to each other in the beginning either, so it's like them having to band together to actually get out of this. So there's like a few different things, but yeah, I remember being like, oh, what are you gonna do about this? Yeah, the teacher is unconscious, and like, yeah, in the darkness there's a threatening hidden danger, apparently. I don't remember that much. I remember that I was like, well, crap. Because I'd read a lot of mystery and a lot of like crime.
Yeah.
Crime. You know.
Yeah.
But not thrillers. So this was kind of the first one.
And this one you might have heard of. It's The Lord of the Rings. Maybe I should have started with this one, because I read this one in 4th grade.
Oh.
And
That's early for those ones, isn't it?
yeah. Which is why I didn't read the 2nd and the 3rd until I was 20.
Right.
But the first one I read in 4th grade, and like obviously important and had an impact and all the things. So yeah, I had to put this on the list.
Okay, on to something entirely different. Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I bloody love this book. It's essentially about how a girl's father has passed away in a car accident, and since then she's not driven at all. And for different reasons she has to take the family car to drive I don't know, some kind of like some county in America to another one. I can't remember which ones. And essentially their neighbor's son, Roger, is gonna drive instead, because they kind of decide like, okay, fair enough, we're not gonna force you. And obviously they take a detour.
Because otherwise there wouldn't be a story.
No. How uninteresting would that be? Yeah, I don't know how many times I reread that book. I loved it. And it's one of the first YA contemporary romances that I remember actually loving and really liking.
Next up, I have an old one. It was my mom's. It's called Mila 18, and it's about a Jewish ghetto during the Second World War, and about a group of people that are trying to fight back. It is so good. It is so good. I loved it. Like, this was amazing. Yeah. There are 2 parts, and I went through them like that. I did nothing else. I just...
Yeah, that's nice. Now, this is another author, so I couldn't pick a book.
Yeah.
Katarina von Bredow.
Yeah.
And when I was like, I need one of those books from you, because I couldn't be bothered to carry all of my books here. Also, I didn't have one of these at home. You were like, crap, I'd forgotten about her.
Yeah, I realized that she should probably be on my list, and she's not.
This is an author who writes books about forbidden love in one way or another. There's one about a girl falling in love with an older man.
There's one having an affair.
Yes. There's the one, her stepbrother. Oh yeah, their sibling love, which was a lot to read. Because we have brothers. That was fucked up, man. But weren't they like half siblings?
Yeah, they had the same mom.
That was
different dads.
Yeah, and then there was the step siblings.
Yeah.
Because they moved together at 15 or something like that. So
that was the first one I read of hers.
Yeah. Expertpatronerna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you can hear, we've read essentially all of them. They're all fantastic. Like, I don't know, she just manages to write very authentic stories. And it's like, even the one where they're unfaithful, because it's like a friend's boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's still one of my favorites. Just Not You is a translation by Antony. And I hate, like, I can't deal with cheating. I think it's ridiculous. But she still managed to write a story that I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate any of the characters. It wasn't like, oh, you're a terrible human.
No.
It was like, she makes you sympathize with every single person she writes about. So she's so good.
So my last one is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. And it has my favorite first sentence. This is translated, so I'm not gonna read it.
First the colors, then the humans. That's usually how I see things.
Yeah. This is
it's
magic.
So, yeah. It's so
And
good.
you have a signed copy of this.
Because of you. And he literally wrote in it, thank Anna for this.
That is, I think that is the only time in my life that I've been starstruck. I was actually like shaking. And I was like, yeah, could you sign the second one too?
It's so cute.
It was so sweet as well. So this is about a girl in Germany during the Second World War.
Yes.
And she's trying to save the books from being burned.
Yeah. The last one. Why are we going from The Book Thief to this? Twilight.
And yeah, that is my copy.
That's Anna's copy.
And it was a birthday gift. I did not choose to buy the movie cover book instead of the pretty one.
Yeah. Oh well, that happens. I couldn't be bothered to lodge my hardback cover here.
Yeah.
So I knew that you had it. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
fine.
I'm not gonna get rid of it.
Well, obviously not. That's the thing. I have mine like tucked away. It's not even in my bookcase.
Well,
because I can't get rid of them. No matter how I feel about the story at this point is insignificant because at the time it was everything. Absolutely everything. I saw the first movie before I read the book. I'm fairly certain. So I would have read the first book in 2008. So I was 14. Kind of the perfect age. For these books. And we also had friends who were, shall we say, a bit obsessed
Slightly.
with both the books as well as Robert Pattinson. And I wouldn't necessarily say, yeah, it had a big impact because it impacted what I wanted to read for quite a while after reading these. So there was a lot of similarly plotted books that were being read after this one.
That might make an appearance in the next part of this video series.
Possibly.
Yeah.
A lot of paranormal romance stuff appeared a lot after Twilight.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of the book community changed years after this.
Yeah.
So that's understandable.
Yeah.
Twilight.
Yeah. For the first video, I felt like the books were kind of all over the place. You kind of read what you get your hands on.
Yes.
For this video, I noticed two very specific themes.
Oh, in your books.
Yeah, for all the ones that I have chosen, they are either about the Second World War or fantasy. This was when I found
Your lanes.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think mine was still pretty much like everything.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I'm still like that though.
Yeah.
I read everything. Always have.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
yeah. So that was it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time. Bye.
Bye.